What's going on, man? It's your boy, Jay Holley, and we are back with another episode of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Thank you. You are far too kind. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I'm so glad that you're here with me. I am Jesse Holley, the sports talk equivalent of Braille. People feel me when I speak. You guys know what you got to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend, put me in the group chat, put me any and everywhere that I am supposed to be. Group chat, small groups, family chat, girls chat, boys chat, all of the chats, I need to be inside of them. You can find me on Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your podcast from. Head over to YouTube, like and subscribe like I already told you to. Head over to Instagram and Facebook and Unfiltered with Jesse Holley and Twitter at Mr. Fourth and Long and Fanatics Views. Go, like, download, do all of those things, man. I'm outside. Excuse me, my nose is a little bit stuffy right now, so you got to just kind of work through me with the nasally sound of my voice. But you guys know how I like to get down. I like to give my motivation at the beginning of the show because let's be honest, a lot of you won't be here at the end. I'm just not for everybody, and that's okay too. I don't have to be, and you don't have to be. But so here's what we got for today's motivation. It simply reads, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Now, I told you weeks ago about you just can't let everybody pour into you. And I mean that. But also, one of the phrases that I absolutely hate is the self-made this and self-made that. And I'm just like, okay, cool. But nobody's ever really self-made, right? Like, some folks that helped you along the way. There's somebody who has helped you get to the promised land. And I continue to believe that you will always need a few people in your corner. Build your team appropriately. Find those people who are good for you, who not only want to see you do well, but want to help you do well. Because there's a great difference between those who wish you well and those who wish you well when it's better than them. See, those are the people you need out of your life. Those who can't take you doing better than them. They're okay if you're doing good. But when you start doing better than them, that's when the hate begins to seep in. The kind of people that you need on your team to go further is those who don't care whether you're better than them. In fact, they encourage and push and celebrate you going further and greater than they've ever been. They're okay at times being the lift and the catapult to get you to that next place. See, those are the people that you need to make sure you keep on your team. Those are the folks that you want to kick to the side. You need those folks on your team. So if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, get a team and go together. All right. Woo! Let's get into this thing, man. Cowboys take another L. It's their third loss in a row. They lose to the Atlanta Falcons 27-21, and the score is not indicative of what the game was. But I don't want to bury the lead because we're going to get into the game. But news have come out today. If you watched the game, you saw Dak Prescott go out late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. He went out in that game with a hamstring injury. Cameras initially thought it might have been a hand, but it ended up being a hamstring injury. He didn't finish the game. Cooper Rush came in and finished the game. You saw him leaving the game with a significant limp. MRIs happened, and they said it was worse than they thought. And this could be Dak Prescott being out for multiple weeks. They haven't determined how many weeks, whether he'll be on the short-term IR, which is a mandatory 4 games. But not having Dak Prescott at any point in time in this season is bad. This team was already bad with Dak Prescott, and it seems like when it rains, it pours, and this team has been hit by the injury bug. You already have lost Sam Williams. You already has lost Marshawn Nealon out for the whole year, and then you lost DeRozan Bland. He has been out so far, has not gotten back into the lineup. Then you lose Micah Parsons, and then you lose Tank Lawrence. Those guys may be coming back sooner than later. You lost Brandon Cooks for 4 games, and it just seems like the Cowboys can't get past this injury bug. And now you lost your starting quarterback. Oh, but wait. Doesn't stop there. Also in that game, CeeDee Lamb, you saw him fall down, hit his right shoulder, and now he is week to week with a shoulder injury. Now, for CeeDee Lamb, they're saying it wasn't as bad as they thought. So that's a good sign. But the likelihood of him playing this week, coming up against the Philadelphia Eagles, probably slim. But CeeDee going in that game and finishing that game, I thought it was honorable. It was admirable. Some may think it was dumb. I thought it was a sign to show the rest of the team, one, how tough he is, and two, just how important winning is to him. Excuse me. I know that CeeDee gets a bad rap for maybe being a little bit of a diva and maybe a little bit of pouting and complaining on the sidelines. You see that, or in the media about getting the ball. But when you see a player go out there, because honestly, if he just goes and says, my shoulder is gone, I can't play anymore, I don't think people would fault him for it. But you saw the toughness of him trying to come back in that game and trying to help his team win when you know that shoulder was absolutely killing him. So those are the latest 2 updates as far as injuries in that game. Not having Dak for the couple of weeks means you're probably going to have Cooper Rush, in his career, he is, I think he's 5-1 as a starter. He's 5-1 as a starter. Now, the teams that he played with before, much better. I mean, much better. Those teams they were getting pressure on the other opposing quarterback. They were getting turnovers. They were getting sacks. You had a good offensive line. You had a healthy Zeke. And that led to Cooper Rush being able to be a true game manager, not necessarily having to put the game on his back to win. Ezekiel Elliott, before the game, he was a healthy scratch. And you're probably asking yourself, healthy scratch? Well, what is happening? Well, reports come out that Zeke was a healthy scratch and did not travel with the football team to Atlanta. And there's so many layers in this, but when you look at everything that is going on with Zeke so far this season, I don't believe Zeke is the player that he thinks he is or that he once was. And let's just break this down a little bit. So Zeke is a healthy scratch, and the reason being that they said was because of disciplinary issues. That Zeke was a habitual late to meetings, to team meetings, to other meetings, and kind of became a little bit of a pain in the tail in the building. Now let's rewind. When the Cowboys initially signed Zeke, and this is where the Cowboys as an organization continues to eat themselves. They cannibalize themselves. Because my belief is that when Zeke signed, and this is true, a lot of the high-profile players that are in the Cowboys organization dates all the way back to before I was a Cowboy, while I was a Cowboy, and after I was a Cowboy, those guys are usually handled. When I say high profile, I mean your guys, your Tony Romos, your Jason Wittens, your Dak Prescott, your Ezekiel Elliott, your CeeDee Lamb. A lot of times those high profile guys are handled by Jerry Jones. They talk to him, and he's able to maneuver and make things happen. And then your mid to level guys and your guys like your Jesse Hollies of the world, the coach handle those guys. And I believe that when Zeke signed and he had a conversation with Jerry Jones was feeding him all of, man, we're bringing you back, and you're going to be, you're going to be our running back, and you're going to be the guy that sets the tone for us offensively, to get the running game going. We need your bruising and your power in the running game. And we're going to couple you with Rico Dowdle. And you and Rico, are going to be our 1-2 punch. And so Zeke's probably like, cool, bet. Let's do it. And also, I believe this. I also believe Zeke, in the heart of hearts, in his competitive mind, he said to himself, well, I know what Rico is. I remember playing with Rico when he backed me up. And he felt in his heart of hearts that I'm gonna come here, and even if they try to make Rico the guy, I'm better. And so you have what Zeke is hearing from Jerry Jones. And then you have what Zeke is seeing and hearing and maybe wondering about what he's hearing from Mike McCarthy. Because I don't believe that Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones' plans for Ezekiel Elliott was on the same page. I just don't. I think Jerry had a plan and a purpose. I think Mike had a plan and purpose, and those two never aligned. And then as you got closer and closer to the season, Mike wanted to do one thing. You heard Mike every single week, Michael from Pittsburgh. You heard him every single week talk about, elevating Dalvin Cook and letting Rico be the lead dog. And even times he would come out and say that he wasn't a fan of the running back by committee, that he wanted to give one running back the lead carries, and then we would kind of fill the other guys in. And it kind of went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then Rico had the really good game against Pittsburgh, right? And you think, wow, Rico had a really good game, carried the ball a significant amount. You saw the rhythm happen for him in those games, and that was going to be the way they continue to do this. And then Zeke comes out and he kind of makes a little bit of a stink. Probably wouldn't talk to Jerry. Next game, Zeke is your lead back. Zeke gets the majority of the carries. Not that he got 20, 30 carries, but he was the guy that got the carries. And Rico goes from having his best game to having 2 or 3 or 4 carries total the entire game. And so now you're talking about how all this stuff is going, and with the losing and all of these things, you start now seeing Zeke kind of like, well, they're not going to play me. If I'm not going to be in the game plan, if we're not going to commit to the running, then I'll show up to meetings when I want. I'll show up to this when I want, and become a distraction. And what makes it even more difficult, I think, Jerry's talked about Zeke being a great teammate, a great guy in the locker room, an energy guy, someone who could show some of these other guys what it means to be a professional. And I got to thinking, like, this looks like something like Udonis Haslem, Juwan Howard, J.J. Barea, the tail end of like Jerry Stackhouse's and Antoine Jameson career, where physically you can still play, you are nowhere near who you used to be, but your veteran leadership, your ability to practice well, to keep the practice attention to details high, to be a mentor in the locker room. And we're going to pay you enough money to satisfy, but you're just not going to get the reps. And I'll also say, as someone who's a former athlete, athletes are the last ones to know that we don't have it anymore. We're the last, because our hearts, our minds, our being, our souls always try to tell us that, man, I can still go do that. You just are, I don't know, it's in us to always think, if I just had enough opportunities, if I just had this, if I had that, then I can still do this. When in reality, we can't. Or we can't at the level we think we can. And what's the sobering part of it all, or the unsobering part of it all? It happens like that. Look at Zach Martin, for example. Zach Martin, for 9 years, has been a model of consistency. He has had more, like up until this year, Zach Martin has had more Pro Bowl appearances than he's had penalties. And then he became mortal. Zeke, from the time that he picked up a football in Pop Warner, in middle school, little league, whatever he played, in high school, in college, and even in the National Football League, he was the best player. And in the league, there was a moment in time, there was a good 2 or 3 year period where he was hands down the best running back in the National Football League. At least a 2 year period. Where it was just no argument, best running back in the league. And you go through this career and then you lose your juice, you lose your burst, you lose all the attributes that got you to that place. But in your mind, in your heart, you think you still can. But the body says, au contraire, mon ami, we can't do what we thought we used to do. We don't break the same tackles. We don't have the same burst. We don't hit the hole the same way. We don't see the reads the same way. But the athlete is always the last one to know. And so you couple that with now I have to deal with the realization of I'm looking at a guy, Enrico Dowdle, who the last time I was here, I was better than. And now they're trying to push a guy who I may feel I'm actually better than in front of me. Now, this doesn't excuse him for being late to meetings and late to this and being a bad teammate. Doesn't excuse him from that at all. But I'm just trying to paint you a picture of the mindset. And do I think Zeke is handling this correctly? If what the reports are saying are true, and what I'm hearing from people that I trust, they are, he's going out bad. And there may be even a deeper thing to this that I won't truly dive into. But these are the times when people sometimes spiral out of control. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave that part at that. But for you, for the Cowboys who are in an organization under Mike McCarthy that travels all their practice squad guys, they travel 17 practice squad players to every game. For you to not be included in that number, you can say it's all mutual all you want. That says a lot. That says a whole lot. That they don't even want you around the team. That's a bad indictment. And I'm going to add another layer to this. And some of you may say, well, why are you bringing Dak in this? Because here's why. When you're in this disarray, as the Cowboys are right now, and you're looking for someone to save you, for something to go right for you, and all you hear is about the bad practices, all you hear is about the lack of details, the lack of assignment alignment football, the inconsistencies all through the year. You're looking for someone to step up and say, be a leader, put us in line, get us right, whether that be a coach or whether it be a player. And ultimately, 90% of the time, that leader, especially offensively, comes from the quarterback, right? They set the tone. You may have some other guys on defense, but normally the quarterback is the leader that everyone kind of just says, hey, he's the guy. Dak's best friend, it's public, it ain't a secret, is Ezekiel Elliott. That's his bestie. They say they used to wear the 214 chains and had, all that. I want to say, didn't somebody get a tattooed on them or something like that? Whatever it is, that was their thing. Those two were besties. And Dak was all excited about getting his bestie back on the team. But what makes it very difficult, and if you listen to the comments that Dak made last week when he talked about it, he said it publicly. I need guys to do more when they leave here. I need guys to be more locked in. I need guys to do more. Was he talking about Zeke? I don't know. Could have been. Could talk about a lot of people on this team. But here's where it becomes interesting, because we all know, they all know, Dak, that's your bestie. That's fact. That ain't a secret. But when your bestie is, according to the reports, habitually tardy and missing meetings. Now when we're sitting here, we're saying, boy, we are sinking as a football team. And one of the guys who's supposed to be a leader, a veteran, who's been in this league for more than 6-7 years, who is supposed to be helping us and helping keeping our ship afloat, can't get here on time. Damn, he missed the entire meeting. But Dak, this is your bestie. So if you can't get to him and tell him to get here on time, per the reports, what you gonna tell me? You gonna tell me to study harder? You gonna tell me to get here on time? You gonna tell me not to miss this? You gonna tell me to go out here and practice hard? You ain't telling your boy. You ain't screaming at your boy when he missing team events and team functions and meetings and all that. Because now that could be saying that to him. That says a lot about their friendship if this is supposed to be my boy and I'm happy he back here and I'm asking him to do things that he's actually supposed to do without me having to ask him, show up on time. That's the easy thing. I'm just show up on time. Hell, you only have to pay attention in the meeting, but at least be here on time. That says a lot about what's going on in the locker room. And that makes it very difficult for a guy like Dak to lead anybody. But it's because the guy that we know is closest to you, he won't even listen to you. Now, everybody's their own man. I get it. I understand it. But we're looking. And when things aren't going right, all of these things that we're seeing are magnified. Those don't get just put. See, if you were 5-2, if you were 6-1, all those things get swept away. All those habitual lates and stuff like that, nobody cares about that. You're 6-1. You're 7-1. Oh, but when you 3-5, that stuff gets magnified. And so we talk about the game, and you see the same things continuing to happen over and over and over and over again. 12 guys in the huddle, 7 pre-snap penalties, a failed fake punt pass. On a key third down for the defense, you got them at 3rd and 4. You only got 10 football players on the field. Even on the onside kick, if you go back and watch, and I'll probably post this to I'm waiting for the video to come and I saw it today. Even on the onside kick, if you watch the onside kick, even if you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, Marquise Bell, the ball squirts out. Go watch the play. Kyle Pitts goes and tries to fall on the watermelon kick, and the ball squirts out and is on the ground there to be recovered. But Marquise Bell ran past the ball. Now, I get it, Marquise Bell. You can't touch the ball until it passes 10 yards. And Kyle Pitts ran up and touched the ball, but he touched the ball. So once he touches the ball, fair game. Go watch the play. He goes to fall on the ball, and it squirts out, and it is on his side. It is on the side of him, wide open to be recovered. But because you don't do the right thing, you run right past the ball. Then he gets back on it, game over. It's all of these things that this is a bad football team. And I'm going to be honest with you. We could go through the stats and the numbers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, whatever. The game wasn't lost on Sunday. When you start playing this type of bad football, the revealing happens on Sunday. That game was lost Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You just got to see it publicly on Sunday. This game, the games for the Cowboys are being lost during the week. When you have a key, when you're about to go for it on 4th and 1, you call a timeout, run the play, don't block the guy. And you run a jet sweep. That's the best play you got. When you have another play and another critical 4th down, 4th and 1, and 12 guys are in the huddle. What? We're not communicating? Normally, the quarterback is standing outside of the huddle, making sure that everything gets situated before he steps in. Y'all break the huddle with 12 players. And then Dalvin Cook is looking around like, oh, wait, CeeDee Lamb's a running back? You can't keep saying the same things over and over and over. And my phrase for that is you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. And this is where the blame comes back on Mike McCarthy, and I think it will ultimately be the reason he loses his job. Yes, the losing is one thing. But it's the consistent and the repetitiveness of the same things over and over and over and over and over again. Either you're teaching these bad things or you're allowing it. They've tuned you out. And by nature, football players, we're going to run to the wall. That's just in our nature. We're going to line up for the most part, and we're going to run to the wall. And then there's the decision to be made. Now that I'm at the wall, what do I do? For a coach that I've tuned out, that I no longer respect, that I see as a dead man walking, I get to the wall and I begin to make the best decision for myself. Oh, but for the right coach, a coach that I believe in his message, I believe in his plan, I respect, I want to see him be successful. When that football player gets to the wall and he's being coached by that coach, we run through it. We don't even think about it. We don't get to the wall and our feet begin to pitter-patter and we think about running through the wall. Nah. When I take off, because I can see the wall in the distance. When I take off, the plan is to run through the wall. It's not if I'm going to run through the wall. It's how fast and how hard and how aggressively I'm going to run through it. For the right coach, that's what happens. For the right coach, you don't see guys consistently making the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over again. For the right coach, you don't see guys going out there turning down tackles and not making their blocks. For the right coach, you see guys showing up to meetings and showing up to places where they're supposed to be. For the right coach, all these things are in line. You don't see guys out there not blocking for one another, not wanting to do their job, and feeling bad if they don't do their job because their job didn't allow someone else to be successful. Not all about me. See, what you have now is a bunch of guys as a team that are running to the wall. And they're standing in front of the wall and saying, well, what are we going to do next? And they're looking around and they're saying, you want me to do what? Run through that wall? That's going to hurt. That may require a little bit too much of me to that wall. Bro, you're not even gonna be here. Like, wait, you calling this play? You want me to kamikaze on this? I don't even like this play. This ain't even. What are we doing here? But for the right coach, you say which wall you want me to run through. Point it out. That one, say less. These, they don't stand a chance. I'm going through. And those are the good teams that win. This team has lost their way. This team, a quote that I used on Sunday, this team is poorly built. That means from the front office perspective, the general manager, the president, all that team is bad built. This team is bad coach. This team plays bad. Built bad, coach bad, plays bad. This team is bad from top to bottom. And now with the injury of Dak Prescott, you know what's funny? The Cowboy thing to happen is that Cooper Rush goes in there and he wins the next 4 games. Like, that's the most Cowboy thing to ever happen. I doubt it. And I know people are going to say, well, Cooper Rush did this before. Oh, those are way better teams back then. Go back and look at those teams that Cooper Rush, when Dak got hurt, those are way better football teams. But this team is bad, man. Listen to some of the numbers, man. The Cowboys, this team gives up the 6th most yards per game, 365 yards per game. The 2nd most in points per game. They give up 28 points per game. The 3rd most rushing yards per game. They give up 147 yards per game. This team is 27th in takeaways. They used to be first, top 5. Think about this. In the Falcons game, this is how you know things are getting bad. The Falcons were 29th in pressures. And they were last in sack rates. They were last in sacks. They only had 6 sacks as a defense all year. They were last in the league at sack rate. They were getting a sack rate at 2.2% of the time. They had 6 sacks on the year. They had 3 against the Cowboys. They got half of their sack totals. They hadn't had back-to-back sacks in a game. all year long. Happened in that game. The Cowboys offense has the worst success rate in the NFL on first down. No matter what play they run on first down, they have the worst success rate at 32.5%. They have a league low 22% rushing success rate on design runs on the first down. This team is bad across the board. And with the trade deadline looming, I doubt that there's anything. When Jerry says, where am I going to go to get players? He don't mean one player. He need 8. He need 10. So I get it, Jerry. Where are you going to go to get 10 players? It ain't going to happen. This team is bad. And we'll see what this team will be for the next couple of weeks without Dak Prescott. Maybe CeeDee Lamb plays or not. Maybe they – and let me say this, by the way. You know, there's this love-hate relationship with me and Micah Parsons. Not really, but like his people and all that kind of stuff. People think I hate Micah Parsons and all that kind of stuff. If I'm Micah Parsons, me, boy, am I slow to come back. I will have to be 1,000%. I'm not coming back at 97%. I'm not coming back at 98%. I better be 101% before I touch a blade of grass again this season. There's nothing to fight for. And I know what all you guys are saying. It's contract year. It's contract year. There's nothing he can do at this point in time that's going to boost what he was already going to get. And he was going to get, no matter what, the highest paid defensive contract in NFL history. And if you think I'm lying, his agent is David Malugetta. He is probably the best agent in football right now. So Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones or whoever, good luck thinking that he's not getting that money. He's getting that bread from you or someone else. So if I'm Micah, I ain't in no rush to come back. If I'm Micah, I am in no rush to come back. I'm going to get this bread, and David Malugella is going to make sure of it. Just like he did for the rest of his clients. He is the baddest mofo in the league right now. So, and nothing that Micah can rush back, because even when Micah comes back, he's not that much of a difference maker that this team is automatically going to now become a contender. You are a bad, bad football team. And that's just what it is. All right, man, let's bounce around the sports world. Boy, it got so bad in New Orleans. It got bad in New Orleans. The Super Bowls in New Orleans this year, they didn't give Lil Wayne cash money. They didn't give them the Super Bowl. That's going to Kendrick. That was bad. And the Saints started out the year pretty good. Whooped up on the Panthers. Beat the living breaks out of us off the Cowboys. And hadn't won a game since. I don't know. What does that say about the Cowboys? That you got beat now by a team that's worse than you. You got dog walked by them. And as of yesterday, they lost to probably the worst team in the National Football League. The Saints lost to the Carolina Panthers, and I remember Jerry saying this a long time ago when he fired Wade Phillips, not Wade Wilson. God rest his soul, Wade Wilson. When he fired Wade Phillips, he stood in front of us and he said, when things like this happen, somebody has to pay for it. And for us, he said, that person is Wade Phillips. For the Saints, that person, head coach Dennis Allen. He was fired today. Interesting fact about Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is the only NFL coach in modern football history that has been fired twice from two different teams and had the same starting quarterback. If I'm Dennis Allen, I want Derek Carr the hell away from me. He got me fired in Vegas. Oakland, whatever it was when he was there. And now he's got me fired in New Orleans. And speaking of Derek Carr, boy, does Michael Thomas hate him. Michael Thomas has been on, I don't know what spurred this. Michael Thomas, if you don't know, former New Orleans Saints wide receiver. He was an all-pro at one point in time, was one of the best receivers in the league. And he hates Derek Carr. He's riding around the city of New Orleans and he's getting videos from people. And then one of the guys say that he doesn't hate Derek, he hates Derek Carr, and he's laughing about that. He's sending off tweet after tweet after tweet about Derek Carr and how much he dislikes him and how bad of a quarterback he is. And in that game, Chris Olave was trying to attempt to catch a pass that some may call it what we call a hospital ball. Derek Carr threw a pass and it got Chris Olave knocked out, who suffered another concussion. Now, this is becoming an issue for Chris Olave. He suffered a couple of concussions in his time with the New Orleans Saints on the receiving end of passes from Derek Carr. But, boy, you talk about spicy. They hate each other. Well, I should say that. Derek Carr had a really, really mature response about it and was just like, hey, I don't know why the guy doesn't like me. I tried to call and reach out to him sometimes, and he's not answering my call, returning my phone call. But Michael Thomas hates Derek Carr. Hates him. So we'll monitor that and see how that goes. Talk about another wide receiver that kind of is really starting to hate his situation. And this receiver is kind of funny because he's a soft-spoken person. Like, he's not like this loquacious, over-exaggerating type of person. He's more of a quiet, but when he speaks, he means what he says, and he says what he means. And boy, did I want him in Dallas before he left Carolina. DJ Moore. DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. He's been in the media a couple times. He was in the media a week or so ago because he came out and he was telling them about a meeting that they was having and stuff like that. And kind of the coach wanted him to keep some of that stuff in-house. And DJ Moore sometimes just like, yeah, I met with coach today. And he was telling me like, hey, you should probably keep that stuff in-house. So he wants to keep our stuff kind of in-house going forward. So, I can't share all the stuff with you guys. Well, then after the game, there's one video that it seems like if while Caleb Williams is still scrambling and the play is still active, there's a video of DJ Moore running a scramble drill and then like kind of gets pushed out of bounds. He just keeps walking. He just keeps walking to the sideline. Play still going on. I don't know if he was hurt or what have you, but Buddy just kept walking. And then after the game, he was talking to the local radio, and one of the guys was saying like, hey, we feel like Coach Eberflus has kind of lost the locker room. We feel that way. So he's like, I'm going to ask you, DJ Moore, do you feel like Coach Eberflus, their head coach, has lost the locker room? Now, the easy answer would be from DJ Moore to be like, nah, we good. Everything's straight. We got to win. This is not DJ Moore's style. DJ Moore's like, I ain't going to say no, but, we got to just continue to play better. And it's like, DJ Moore said, I ain't going to say he didn't lose the locker room or he hasn't lost the locker room, but we got to just continue to play better, man, and try to get a dub. So that's just DJ Moore kind of, again, throwing his head coach under the bus. And I, for one, agree with, I don't know if I agree with DJ Moore, but I don't think Eberflus is the answer. For Caleb, for that team. I think Chicago has done a horrible job at putting people in position. I mean, you think about the last couple quarterbacks that they had. They've had Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, and now Caleb Williams. And none of them have worked. Now, you can't keep telling me that it's the quarterbacks. Like, you got to start thinking about maybe it's the people that are coaching these folks. Because all of them can't be this bad. And while I think they're 4-4 right now, at some point in time, you have to make a change. And I think this might be the year or the last year that you'll see Eberflus as the head coach of the Bears. Because when you have a talent like Caleb, and you got Rome Odunze, and you got Keenan Allen, you got DJ Moore, and you got a running game. Like, you got to think to yourself, man, I got to get somebody in here that's going to be able to maximize this talent. Because that window to be on the rookie salary, like, that's the window to capitalize. That's the window where you really got to go in. And I don't have time to waste on you beating my quarterback into the ground and this team not being able to be successful when we giving you weapons. So DJ Moore throwing Coach Eberflus under the bus. But the spicy doesn't stop there. The spicy leaves the NFL locker rooms and it heads over to the NBA. This is a spicy week. This is a jalapeno pepper week. DeMar DeRozan got a little beef with the sixth god. Got a little beef with the sixth god. Where's DeMar at right now? Orlando? Where's he at? Where's he play for now? Who? Sacramento. That's what he is. DeMar DeRozan is playing for the Sacramento Kings. Shout out to my boy Jawad Williams. Jawad, what's up, baby? What's up, baby? DeMar DeRozan playing for the Sacramento Kings was back this weekend playing in Toronto. Shout out to another Tar Heel, Vince Carter. Got his jersey number retired, 15, half man, half amazing. Go Heels. You guys. So they did the banner, the raising of the jerseys. And who was at the game? The sixth god. Mr. Lightskin himself. Drizzy. I think is Drake a part owner or has some stake ownership in the he's an ambassador. He's an ambassador. Well, if you know, Drake this past summer had this beef with one Kendrick Lamar. They not like us. They not like us. And a lot of people picked a side. You know who picked a side the most? Completely sidebar. Savannah James, LeBron James' wife. She, at every turn, she is posting and talking about they not like us. I don't know. And I thought Drake and LeBron were cool and were friends. But Savannah, she pledged her allegiance. Savannah said, I'm going with Kendrick. And I was like, okay. But there was this beef. Toronto versus California, the West Coast. It was Drake. It was Kendrick. It was Kendrick. It was Drake. And Drake had all of these friends all across these different sports leagues. DeMar DeRozan probably being one of them. Well, when this beef came out, the one thing that you know about the West Coast, boy, when it come time to unite, them jokers unite. Whether it's the cats from the Bay, Sacramento, San Francisco, I was going to say Vallejo, or whether it's the LA folks, when those West Coast jokers come together, they come together. All the gangs, all everything. If they got to go against a coast or country, they come together. And so they did. They not like us. And when they did the video to They Not Like Us, DeMar DeRozan, remember before being a Sacramento King, he was a Toronto Raptor. And he had a relationship with Drake, and I'm sure that they had some good times together. Well, while Drake was at the game, let me back up. When the video came out to They Not Like Us, DeMar DeRozan was in the video. No, they had a video. They made a video. They did a concert as well. But he was in the video. Now, for those of you that do not know, DeMar DeRozan is not from Toronto. DeMar DeRozan is not from Sacramento. DeMar DeRozan is from Compton, California. Or Bompton, California, if you're a blood. If you're a Paru, then it's Bompton. Listen. No gang affiliation for your boy Jay Holley. But DeMar DeRozan is from Compton. He may be a basketball player, but where he comes from, they like that. They like that. So when it came to picking a side, DeMar DeRozan went with the side that he owed, his blood side. Not a blood like that. I'm just talking about who he's from. From Compton. That's where Kendrick's from. Compton. So for him to be in the video, that may have offended Drake. So during the game, they asked Drake some questions. They were asking Drake about some questions, and Drake went unprovoked. Talked about, yeah, if y'all ever put up the DeMar DeRozan banner, I'm going to go up there and rip it down myself. And you know the media got back to DeMar DeRozan, and DeMar DeRozan simply just said, yeah, well, it's going to be a long way for him to go up there and get it. But, okay. So there's a little bit of, Drake has taken names. He's keeping the receipts. And DeMar DeRozan is one of the guys that he got a little smoke with. And the other spicy media, Joel Embiid, center, is he reigning MVP? Right? Who won it last year? Who won MVP last year? Joel did. Oh, Joker did. Joker won it again? Well, he won it the year before. Joel Embiid, the former MVP, Philadelphia 76ers center. Joel, he's got a little smoke with the media. We had Trevon last week. He was telling folks these nuts. Talk to these nuts. Talk about these nuts. Joel's in a little bit of a kerfluffle. Got to a little bit of kerfluffle with the media. Joel Embiid has not played this season, recovering from the knee surgery that he had in the offseason. If you remember, Joel, pushed himself to the limit, trying to get his team a championship. There's been reports that Joel said, I'm never going to play back-to-back games again. NFL is doing some investigation for the 76ers. But if you know anything about the tri-state area, I'm from Jersey, but the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Connecticut type tri-state area, not a soft media. It's not soft. If you know anything about Philly sports in general, they boo their own fans. They throw batteries at Santa Claus. They don't care about your feelings. But this one reporter may have taken it a little bit too far. Joel Embiid has been questioned and has been ridiculed by a lot of the media for his inability to stay healthy. And in a press conference, he talked about, I've done way too effing much for this city. He talked about coming back from his face being broken twice and his vision being broken. He had the one thing where he lost feeling on the side of his face. He had the broken fingers, the countless number of ankle and knee injuries. And then the media took it a little bit too far. Let me get the guy's name so I can make sure we give proper hate. Yeah, and so let's get here it is. Let's get the right before we get the proper hate. Philadelphia Inquirer columnist Marcus Hayes. He mentioned Embiid's son and his late brother, both are named Arthur. Embiid lost his brother a couple years ago, and his son is named after his brother. And he was questioning Embiid's professionalism and effort to stay in shape. And so these reports get out, and all the athletes now have rabbit ears. They hear everything. They see everything. Nothing is where it used to be. If you put it out there, they're going to see it. And when the reporter came in, Embiid stood and confronted Hayes. He said, the next time you bring up my dead brother or my son again, you're going to see what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to have to blank live with the consequences. Embiid said to Hayes. Embiid continued with there's several instances of profanity. Hayes offered an apology, which Embiid did not want. He goes, that's not the effing first time, Embiid said. Embiid later said that he does not care what reporters say, but then Hayes says, but you do, Hayes answered. Embiid appeared to raise his voice at the point and not longer afterwards, he pushed Hayes by the shoulders. They had to break it up and all this kind of stuff. So if you can't write about people's family. You can't, like, you can write about the athlete. You can say what you want about the athlete, but when you start bringing deceased family members in it and children in it, I'm with Embiid. I'm with Embiid. Say what you want about me. Criticize me, confront me, have your thoughts and opinions about me. But when you start bringing my family into it, my son, my deceased brother, all bets are off. And I got enough money to get bailed out. I got enough money to deal with the lawsuit, but you have to pay the consequences. And, you know, let this be a lesson learned to people going forward. Not that they probably even care, but have a little bit of decorum. Like, you can write stuff about the athlete, but when you start going at their family, the son, the deceased brother, man, you're wrong. You're wrong. And so, all right, and the last thing we'll talk about, it's kind of a story that's kind of had its round already, but I'll just put my little 2 cents on it. Why not? What the hell? I ain't talking about nobody's son or brother, but it is what it is. Micah Parsons, who has a podcast on Bleacher Report, he's the president of I guess media content on Bleacher Report. He and Trevon Diggs had a sit down last week, and honestly, it was so layered that it was many conversations that went on throughout that podcast. I look forward to see what he's going to say this week. Should be an interesting one. But in that conversation, they were talking about, it talked about Jaden Daniels. And then Trevon brought up, like, you know, right now, Jaden Daniels should be the MVP or in the MVP conversation. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders, having a fantastic year. Has the Commanders first in the NFC East, leading the NFC East right now. And that team's rolling. Dan Quinn is the head coach. Cliff Kingsbury, the OC. He got him playing great. But as they got into the conversation, they ultimately got to who's your top 10 quarterbacks? Now, that will be a conversation till conversations are no longer conversations. It'll be brought up in every barbershop. It'll be brought up at every barbecue. It'll be brought up at every family reunion. It'll be brought up at anywhere where you have men and sports. Top 10s, top 5s of positions will be brought up. And that's fine. But when you are currently on a football team and you are playing with one of the quarterbacks that probably should or could be in the conversation, and in that conversation, Trevon Diggs and Micah Parsons begin to list off some of the top 10 quarterbacks that they felt were in that position. None of which the names that they named was their own quarterback, Dak Prescott. Now, you may say to myself, Jesse, but they gotta be real. They can't be homers. They can't be this. They can't be that. I'm not saying that you have to be a homer. Not saying that at all. What I am saying is you do not leave your quarterback out of the conversation. Here's how you probably should handle that. When you begin to start naming top 10, top 5 quarterbacks, and I am currently on the team with this quarterback. This is a guy who I've consistently praised as being our leader, as being a dog, as being whatever it is. You say to whoever's listening, hey, I'm telling y'all off top, Dak's number one for me. That's my dude. I'm riding with Dak. Or you say, that's my dude. I'm ready to go to war with Dak any day of the week. He's the guy that I'm ready to battle with. And you can be getting the list off attributes, all that you want. And then you can name other quarterbacks. That still gives you a level of credibility. It still gives you a level of realness. But to flat out not mention your quarterback at all in the conversation of top 10 quarterbacks in the league, and then you name quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and other quarterbacks who are playing well, who your quarterback can be equal to or better than. It's just another one of those things where it's a bad look. It's a bad look. You're always supposed to take care of your own, especially your quarterback. Even if he isn't playing to a top 10 level, there's ways that you are supposed to protect your quarterback, your teammate, your brother. Without being homerish, you can sit there and be like, oh, no, he's number one. All right, that's homerish. But you can mention him in a positive light and saying, man, I'll put Dak up against any one of these quarterbacks. If I had to face any one of these quarterbacks, I like my chances with 4. 4 gives us a chance to beat any one of these quarterbacks. With 4 leading us, bro, we could beat any of those teams or those quarterbacks that we named. However you want to put it. However you want to put it. But to rattle off name after name after name after name and never mention your quarterback's name, who can arguably be in the conversation? This is not saying like if your quarterback was Zach Wilson. Okay. But even still, you take care of your horse. You hold home down. Especially coming from one of the leaders of the team. 2 of the leaders of the team. At least 2 of the 5 high-profile players on this team. You go up against Dak every day in practice. Your response should have been, boy, man, I don't know who we gonna name, but the dude I go up against every day in practice is a dog. The dude that wear number 4, I'm in the foxhole with him. I don't care who y'all name. I don't care what y'all name. I don't care what name y'all say. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, of course. Is that better? No, he's not. But I would say, like, you know what? Shoot, Patrick Mahomes might be the best quarterback in the league. But if we got to go face Patrick Mahomes, give me 4. We gonna go to battle. He gonna give us a shot. Now we gotta do our job on defense, but 4's gonna give us a shot. There's multiple ways that you can go at this thing. The way that you cannot go at this thing is not saying his name at all. But that tells you, like I said earlier, just where this team is at as a whole. They're not like this. They're not one band, one sound. They're not CMB and my brother's keeper. They're not that. They're not. They're a bunch of 53 brands. And then I guess we'll come together on Sunday and try to get this thing to work. That's my 2 cents on that, man. There's ways you could have done that. But I guess they're learning. They're young, they're learning, and it's a learning experience. So hopefully they'll get better. All right, man, that's it for me. Remember, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Fanatic Views, Mr. Fulton-Long on Twitter. Unfiltered with Justin Holley on Instagram. Apple, Spotify, you can download the podcast. YouTube, You can download the visual. You can see my pretty face. You can see Salt and Pepper Poppy, baby. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Put me in the group chat. And remember, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Get you a team that ain't going to leave you out in the top 10 when they mention the names. Get you a team that's going to put you in the top 10. Get you a team that's going to speak your name when you're not in the room. Get you a team that's going to hype you up in a room even when you ain't in there. Get you a team that's going to push you forward when you don't feel like going. Get you a team that's going to pick you up when you're down. Get you a team that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. That's how you go farther. All right, man, that's it for your boy, Jay Holley. We'll be back later on this week, man. Remember, I love you. You matter. November is mental health month, so if you need somebody, talk to somebody. Reach out to somebody. A therapist, a friend. Don't go at this alone. All right, man, that's it for me. Remember, eliminate the contingencies. I'm out.